Saturday, March 28, one full week into the shutdown. Here is another ride along the Rhine and into the mountains. As you can hear, I have solved the sound issue by extracting the audio file from the original film before I import it into iMovie, and then importing the audio file into iMovie as well. Now it works. And I turned the sound level down, but still it adds a bit more of a lively feel than with no sound. Here I am on my way to Königswinter to meet fellow Velonaut Alex, who has suggested a route into the mountains out of UNKEL, which is the Westerwald, a large forest area to the southeast of my local 7 mountains. It is a beautiful day, and you see quite a number of cyclists and pedestrians out on the trails. In the German comments, I complain about the Garmin Verb 360, which always takes a while to get proper recording so that I can then have speed and elevation readings. These are shots from the first 10 kilometers along the Rhine up to Königswinter. And in a moment you will see Alex ahead of me. Here he is. We will follow the river for a bit until we reach the town of UNKEL, and beyond UNKEL there is the road that leads us up into the Westerwald Mountains. Up ahead here are bars that I normally ride under, but today I can't because I've mounted the camera on the hum and it doesn't clear the bar. It always amazes people when I come there and cross that section riding under the bar, but today I would have made a fool out of myself, so I'm happy that I remembered correctly that I couldn't go there. We are approaching UNKEL now on a section of the trail which is somewhat away from the river, following the railroad track. But as you can see, it's nice and wide and good for fast riding. And now there's data. At least the speed readings are correct. The elevation reading is still off, but that will change later. I don't know why that happens. All right, so here we are on L252, if I'm not mistaken, riding up past the village of Bruchhausen to Kretzhaus, where we go on to another faster route up on the level of the Westerwald. But before that, we have to climb in 2 sections up about, I think, 200, 220 meters of elevation gain. As you know, everything in the old world is small, so also our waterfalls are small. Look at this little waterfall on the right. It's nice. You see, it's prepared for a picnic, but it's small. Turned the sound level up for a little bit, just so that you can hear me singing while I'm on the climb. I often do that just to make sure that I still have enough breath to be able to sing along the tunes. Here we have reached a plateau, which is the first half of the climb. It is at the same level at the Erpelerlei, which is one of those rocks up above the river. And you can see it's about 170 meters above sea level. And we're riding this plateau for a bit, then through a very nice section as we pick up the Kasbach, which is a small river. back there at the distance where the forest begins, that's where this nice section is, and I will give you that section uncut. It is a good 2 minutes and tells you a little bit about the joys of Velomobile riding, and I have another chapter of joys later on. Elevation doesn't change that much, and you see that the road surface is not very good. But you know, these curvy roads with some switchbacks, some blind corners, that's something that is good to ride. You know, motorbikers, they love it, and I think Velomobile riders appreciate it as well. We're not going that fast, but it's just nice to be feeling a bit of gravity, a bit of G-force in those corners, and to be able to ride through a mountain valley, even though it's winter. It's a very nice area. So here begins the next climb. We've lost about 5 meters of elevation over the past stretch, and now we have to climb up, I think, another 60 meters or so, not very much, but this is a pretty steep section I do in granny gear. Alex takes a bio stop here, and I just ride on. Not much longer, and we will reach Kalenborn or Kretz's house, and from there we take another route. You see us here. This is a straight road. General tendency is down, not by a lot, but you don't need a lot in order to enjoy the ride. You know, very much different from the earlier section where you had bends and curves. This is a road that basically heads straight. And you can see for almost kilometers where you're going. Passing Alex here, I think he had let me pass on purpose because he's got the higher gears, so that I can film the flyby. His is a DF Spezial with a weight of 17 kilos, the lightest Velomobile I have ever laid my hands on. Yeah, that's nice. It's, you know, you're riding beyond 60 kilometers an hour. I can pedal up to 65. So here I'm still pedaling a bit, but most of the time I'm just rolling without pedaling. Now you see, there you see me pedaling a bit. I can still do it at 70 kilometers an hour, but it's not fun. It's a bit of a hamster type of activity that I generally do not like. Now this is a different section here. See, we've regained what we had lost before, and now we're losing it again, enjoying another one of those downhill rides, another one of those flybys by Alex. And even the traffic behind us is behaving well, so it's really a lot of fun to ride here. This probably is a very busy road on a normal weekday, and it would be on a normal weekend day, but with the shutdown, the traffic is generally much reduced, so it is a real pleasure to be riding these roads. Okay, here the speed limit of 70 ends. Now you can do 100 kilometers an hour if you want. Out of the woods, you realize that actually the Westerwald is a gently rolling hill land. It's sort of a plateau that is shaped by rivers that have carved into the plateau over the millions of years. But outside of that, actually it is very good riding. Here we're climbing a bit again. In order to get to the town of BUCHHOLZ, where we will turn off and head down into one of those valleys, the HANFBACHTAL Valley, a region that I have been riding uphill so far. I've never taken it the other way down, so I've convinced Alex to take that left turn today. And take that valley road. For him it means that at the end of it he will have to climb back up to get home, whereas I just stay into the valley, follow the Sieg River towards the Rhine, and then I'm back home. Where we turn off, we usually come up to go on that road and take another downhill. But today we're taking it downhill to the HANFBACHTAL Valley. A number of my subscribers have said they like it better without the sound. I have to say I like the sound because this is what it is. I even wear headphones today to dampen the sound in my ears a little bit because the wind noise is terrible at such speeds, but the noise itself is an indication of real life, of the terrain, of the wind, of the gusts that you encounter as you go down. And down we go. There's a switchback ahead that needs to be taken with some care. The road is wide. It has been redone recently, but still it takes good brakes to reduce speed enough to not be kicked out of the corner here. Up ahead is the left turn that leads into the HANFBACHTAL valley. I think this is actually already beyond the valley, but this is the road that leads to it, and the road that follows the Hanfbach once it picks up the river all the way to Hennef on the Sieg River. And as you can see here, there's a general downhill tendency, not steep at all, so you lose very little in terms of elevation, but a steady little bit, and that's good for good riding. I have selected here the better sections. In some of the sections, the road is terrible. I don't even know that these roads exist, but there are sections here that are the worst, among the worst at least, we have in the entire area. Here you see now, for the past kilometers, the road has been very wide, and now we either reach a county line or a planning line. All of a sudden, it makes a turn, and this road here now is considerably smaller, is of different quality, as if there were two totally different entities in charge of planning that route. Beyond the village of Dahlhausen, there's another such wide section, which again, after a few kilometers, will be followed by a narrow section, as if, you know, these were pieces of a puzzle that were somehow forced together. There's a small group of houses coming up, which are very typical for this area. Small woodwork, and alongside, just houses alongside the road, farmhouses. See them here? Very nice. Every once in a while, you gain a meter or two, which adds to the fun later on, because you have more material for a continued downhill. So I never mind those little minor climbs in between, as this one we just went over. Now we're nearing the end. The valley widens from here on and goes on for a number of kilometers, but I cut that out, and beyond that village is the final stretch towards Hennef. And here you see me already past Hennef and heading towards the Siegau, which is the lowlands by the Sieg River, which occasionally get flooded, not in this section because it has levees, but further on. And that's the final 25 kilometers I take along the Sieg River towards home. While motorcycles and cars were our companions over the mountain stretch, from now on it will be skaters, cyclists, toddlers, pedestrians, so all sorts of weekend traffic on these trails. I get the feeling that because of the shutdown there's even a little bit more traffic than there usually is. And I will give you a few impressions of that in the final 3 minutes of this movie. This is still quite a bit away from the river. The river flows about 500 meters over to the side. And it's not so busy, but it gets busier once we get closer, like here. I always find it funny how wives then command their husbands right in ahead of them. Here Klaus was actually wobbling a little bit, and it's typical. I hear that so many times that she treats him like he doesn't know what to do. This guy in yellow behind me, I have passed some time back, but since we're slowed down by traffic so much, he can catch up and stays on my rear wheel for some time. I have finally dropped him on the levee towards the end of the Sieg River, where traffic got lighter again. In spite of the traffic, it is still a pleasurable ride along the river. If only people would be a little bit more careful, like this guy here, right in the middle of the trail is stupid. You should ride on the right half of the trail and not in the middle of it. So this is on the Rhine River levee. So here I'm almost back home. Over on the other side of the river is Bonn, where I live, and ahead on this side is Boyle, the part of town which is on the east side, on the east bank of the river. So goodbye from Corona Land. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and hope to see you another time on another ride.